Previously on Outside the Hash Marks.
Anything short of being a CFP contender will raise serious questions in Death Valley. I'll say this about the Buckeyes. Their offseason moves scream boom or bust. And with what might be the most difficult stretch any team in the country has awaiting for them at the end of the season, it's going to be tough for Florida to be in the hunt for a CFP bid. However, I just don't quite see them being a national title contender and have them bleeding off the CFP contender tier.
And now for the final part of this series.
Georgia. If you know anything about me, you know that Georgia is my favorite team by far, so anything that I say about them has to be taken with a grain of salt. That being said, the Dogs are once again one of the front runners to win the national championship. The schedule will be a lot more challenging than 2023, but Kirby Smart has them built for the moment. NC State. The middle of the pack in the ACC following Clemson and Florida State is very crowded. The Wolfpack will be looking to break away from that group and make a run for the ACC title. And if there's any ACC squad that I've talked about so far that can do it, it'll most likely be Dave Duran's group. Nebraska. This will probably be my most controversial ranking yet, but I'm actually pretty high on Nebraska. I like the moves they made in the offseason, which included flipping Dylan Raiola from Georgia. The Cornhuskers likely won't be winning the Big Ten next season, but I wouldn't be surprised if they potentially push for a 9-win season and possibly a playoff appearance if all goes well. Air Force. I can't state the exact numbers off in my head, but Air Force is going to be among the worst teams in returning production. Still, Falcons are regularly among the best in the Mountain West. They should be right there with the likes of Boise State and Fresno State in the fall, even with the departures. West Virginia. Neil Brown quite literally saved his job last year after going 9-4. But even with that, the Mountaineers are still somewhat under the radar heading into 2024, even with the solid returning production. They are a definite dark horse pick in the Big 12. UNLV. Originally, I was going to have the Rebels in regression imminent after Jaden Mayava's transfer to USC. However, Barry Odom, despite his rough go in Missouri, is a solid head coach, and UNLV should still be right there in the mix of the Mountain West race as a dark horse candidate. USC. There's been a lot of talk about how the Trojans will fare in the Big Ten, and for good reason. Caleb Williams is gone, the defense has been a nightmare under Lincoln Riley, and now the competition is about to ramp up. Riley enters 2024 under a lot of scrutiny to deliver, and it will come down to how the defense performs. They have the potential to be really good, but I have to put them in boom or bust. Ole Miss. No longer do the Rebels have to worry about sitting behind Alabama and LSU in the division race. Just as well, Lane Kiffin doesn't have to worry about being perfect to reach the playoff. Ole Miss is one of the biggest benefactors from an expanded playoff, and anything short of their first appearance will be a disappointment. Notre Dame. The Irish dipped into the transfer portal yet again for their next quarterback and grabbed Riley Leonard from Duke. Notre Dame does have a fairly rigorous schedule, but that's par for the course. And like Ole Miss, the Irish stand to gain more from the 12-team playoff as a more regular participant and have the makings of a CFP team in 2024. LSU. LSU is in a similar situation to USC in terms of defense, and they also lose their star quarterback to the draft. Still, I do believe Brian Kelly will have the Tigers right in the mix for a CFP bid with a revamped defense under new defensive coordinator Blake Baker. Oklahoma State. The Pokes are a tougher team to rank. They'll be one of the favorites to win the Big 12, but I don't think they have quite enough to make a run towards a CFP bid without winning the conference. So I have them just one tier lower and right behind Kansas State and Utah in the Big 12 pecking order. Tennessee. Tennessee might be one of the few teams who actually lose because of realignment and playoff expansion. Instead of just needing to worry about the Dogs to get to Atlanta, the Vols have to worry about everyone. They'll be SEC contenders, but they need a few breaks to make it to the playoffs. Arizona. The Wildcats, prior to losing head coach Jed Fish to Washington, were my pick to win the Big 12 next season. They'll still be in the mix with Noah Fifita back under center, But falling backwards into the crowded middle tier of the Big 12 means they'll have to eke out some close wins to make the CFP bid reality. TCU. It really was a shame to see TCU miss the postseason entirely after advancing to the CFP title game in 2022. The Horned Frogs suffered through some injuries in 2023 and entered 2024 in a similar fashion that they entered the 2022 season. If history repeats itself, that means TCU will be primed to make a big run in the Big 12 once again. And I just can't doubt Sonny Dykes, and I think TCU is going to be a dark horse contender. Texas Tech. The Red Raiders were disappointing in 2023, failing to live up to the top 25 expectations many pundits had for them. They'll be looking to make amends for that in 2024, but a loaded Big 12 doesn't forgive. Either Texas Tech will be one of the big surprises of the season, or they'll just barely get bowl eligible once again. Texas A&M. The Aggies are a perpetual all-or-nothing team. That won't change under Mike Elko, who comes in from Duke after leading the Blue Devils to new heights in 2023, before injuries derailed their season. A&M does luck out and avoid Alabama and Georgia in SEC play, so at least that might help their cause towards making a run. North Carolina. Losing Drake May to the draft was basically a foregone conclusion, but still one that is a big blow to Mac Brown and the Tar Heels. Given how the Heels already struggled to win with May under center, it's not too crazy to assume that a dip in record is coming. I have them in regression imminent, but I would not be surprised in the slightest if they somehow come out of nowhere to be decent in 2024 in a similar fashion that they did in 2022 after losing Sam Howell to the draft. Oklahoma. The Sooners enjoyed a nice rebound in year 2 under Brent Venables, going 10-3. Replicating that success in the SEC might be too tall of a task with the competition ramping up. Still, they will have a say in who goes to Atlanta in drawing Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, and Ole Miss. Michigan. Last but not least, we have the defending champs. Michigan loses a lot from their title-winning squad, including head coach Jim Harbaugh. Despite that, the foundation of the program, for now, is stable enough to remain in contention. They definitely won't be as good as last year, but it will be a surprise if Michigan isn't in playoff contention deep into the season. And there you have it. What do you think of my tier list? Is there a team you would rank higher or lower than where I have them? Let me know in the comments down below. And don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. And don't forget to keep the college football flame burning.